Hello folks, welcome to session number 9 of my Blender training. Okay, so far in the last session, which is session number 8, we covered some more mesh modeling tools and also loading image planes. So in this session, I'll be dealing a little bit about mesh modeling tools, okay, in this first part. So let me launch Blender. Okay. Um, So let's select inverse and move these objects, the camera on the lamp, to layer number 20. Okay. Now I have this cube object, right? So switch to the edit mode and bring up the properties panel and enable normal face normal display. Okay. You'll notice the face normal. So let's make it 25 centimeters. Okay. See that I'm using the metric system. Okay. Now again, remember view selected or frame selected. I have mapped it to the Q key. Alright, so now you'll notice that um, these normals are pointing outside. Okay. um, in Blender you can change the direction of the normals. Okay, so let's just assume that this particular face had its normal, okay, flipped. Okay, you'll notice the normal now points inside. Okay, just assume during modeling, okay, the normal got flipped. Okay, now let's use some tools to create a mesh. So switch to the front view and ortho view. Okay, and I will move my 3D cursor to this. So Shift S and cursor to selected. Okay, and change the 3D cursor pivot mode to the 3D view pivot mode to 3D cursor. Okay, now let's select this face. Okay, the side face. Okay, and use the spin tool. Okay, okay, the hotkey for spin tool is Alt R, so I'll just press Alt R. Now the spin tool works around the pivot point. Okay, now my pivot point is over here, so the spin tool will use this as a pivot and then spin it. So let's see what we get by default. Okay, you'll notice um, the spin happened in the clockwise direction by 90 degrees and the number of turns are 9. Now I want it to happen in anti-clockwise, so for the spin tool operator properties, okay, I have them here. I'll type minus 90. Okay, I can also use a mathematical operator like 90 times minus 1. Okay, now you'll notice the spin happens in the anti-clockwise direction, and let me reduce the number of turns. Okay, but the problem you see here is the normals are pointing inside. Okay, so for this mesh, for this particular mesh, um, okay, some normals are pointing outside and some normals are pointing inside. Okay, one way of fixing this is to select each face, okay, and flip the normal direction. Okay, another way of accessing the flip normal operator is by pressing the W key. Okay, so let's press the W key. It brings up the specials menu, and there you go, flip normals. Okay, so now you need to do it manually for each face. Okay, so W, flip normals, and remember the last operator that you have executed can be accessed using Shift R. There you go. Okay, so let's select all these three and press Shift R. Okay, so this is the manual way of moving the normals. Okay, Shift R. Okay, now all the normals are pointing in the same direction. Yeah, cool. So let's select this face and move it up a bit. So G and press Z. Okay, you notice that we need to fix this face as well. So W and flip normals. Okay, and I'm selecting this face and G and X. Okay, and select these two faces G and Z. Okay, you'll notice that there's one more face over here, and we need to flip its normal as well. Okay, in fact, okay, there's one more face, so W and flip normals. Okay, now all the normals are pointing in the proper directions. Okay, a Blender can sometimes automatically do this for you. Okay, so let's undo everything, Control Z. Okay, alright, so I'm here. Remember, my undo operations are set over here, so I have 32 steps of undo. So by the time I did undo 32 times, I've reached the end of the undo buffer. Okay, now let's select all the faces and see if Blender can automatically calculate the normals outside. Okay, uh, so select all, and you'll notice in under the normals, okay, recalculate. Okay, this basically makes normals consistent, okay, in a proper direction. Sometimes it can work and sometimes it won't work. So let's recalculate, and you'll notice that, okay, Blender has okay, calculated the normals in the proper direction. Okay, over here we need to okay, let's move this face, switch to proportional editing and G. Okay, now you'll notice that the transformations are happening around the cursor pivot. So let's switch back to bounding box center, and okay, that's not helping. Let's use individual origin. Okay, there you go. Okay, let's move this thing up. Okay, okay, so yeah, so the normals are in the right direction. Okay, so make sure you keep track of the normal orientation when modeling. All right, so that's the first quick lesson. All right, now let's move on to uh, modifiers. Okay, we'll learn about a few more modifiers and also learn about some modeling workflow tips. Okay, let me open up a new file. In fact, let me save this file. Okay, section 9, and right. Okay, oh, I forgot one more thing about normals. Okay, let me go to layer number 2 and move the cursor to the world origin, shift C, and add a cube. Okay, let's turn on the normals again. Okay, so there are some tools that make use of the normal direction to operate. Okay, so if you look at shrink flatten tool, okay, the hotkey is Alt S. So this shrink flatten tool uses the normal direction to move the faces. Okay, so I've selected all the faces and pressing Alt S. Okay, as I move the mouse away from the object, you'll notice that the faces are moving in the outward direction, and if I move the cursor towards the object, the faces are moving inside. Okay, now that's how it works when the normals are pointing outside. Okay, so let's flip all the normals and then use the Alt S key. Okay, now the operation is reversed. Okay, so what happens is when I move the mouse away, the faces are going in, and when I move the mouse towards the object, the faces are moving out. Okay, so that's one thing about normals, so make sure they are in the right direction. Okay, cool. So alright, so let's switch to a new file. Okay, shift select both these layers. Okay, and then I'll move this object here and then save it. Okay, let's switch to a new file. Okay, now let's look at some more mesh modeling okay, workflow tips, and then explore some of these modifiers. Okay, so again inverse and move these to layer number 20. Okay, okay, now I'll be a little quick. Okay, um, view selected. Okay, go to the top view and orthographic view. Okay, and switch to the wireframe mode by pressing the Z key and press the tab key to go into the edit mode. Okay, deselect all, border select these vertices, okay, and delete them, and then border select these vertices. Right, now I want to move these four vertices, okay, uh, in the negative in the y direction. Okay, so I can do it using, okay, the cursor pivot mode. Okay, in the cursor pivot mode, and my cursor is at the world origin. Okay, is at the world origin. Then press the S key to scale it and constrain in the y direction by pressing Y and then press 0. Okay, so now all these vertices have been scaled, okay, in the y direction to 0. Okay, so that's a very quick way of doing things. Okay, and let's go to the front view and move these vertices in the z direction to and press 1. Cool. Now let's W to get the specials and subdivide. Okay, now let's delete these vertices X, okay, and this vertex as well. Okay, cool. We have this, and let's select this vertex and Alt E to get the extrude menu and move the vertex. Okay, you can hold down the control key, and as you move the mouse vertically it snaps to each grid unit. Okay, now with that, now let me invoke the spin operator. So Alt R, okay, and the operator properties are over here. Okay, so let me just use a value of 3. Okay, I can also use operations like this, 9 by 3. Okay, and then by 3. Okay, maybe let's use just 2 steps. Okay, cool. So now I need to build a mesh. Okay, to build that mesh I need a proper topology. Okay, so I'll select all of these, okay, and then use the knife tool. So press the K key, okay, move the mouse near this vertex and then make a cut. Okay, similarly select all, K key, move the mouse near the vertex and make a cut. Okay, cool. So we have this and this. Now I'll use these snap tools. Okay, I'll use these snap tools and snap to vertex to align these vertices properly. Okay, first I want to align these two, okay, or maybe align this vertex with this one. So select it and press the G key and press the X key and then snap this to this. Okay, and then select this GX and snap it to this. Okay, similarly I can select this G and Z and snap it to this. Wonderful. So let's select these four vertices. Okay, shift select and F to make a face. Okay, you can always use the Z key to toggle between solid and wireframe mode. Yeah, so I need one more loop over here, right? So this time let's use the loop cut, control R, and okay, place it over here. Okay, and then G and X and snap it to this. Now I have, okay, a proper topology. Okay, there you go. And let me select this vertex, E to extrude the vertex, okay, and Z to snap in the Z direction, and move the mouse to this vertex to snap it. Okay, cool. So F to make an edge and select these four vertices to make a face. Okay, cool. So we have something like this. Okay, so now let's give this some solid surface. Right now it's a thin plate, right? So to give this particular plane surface, we can use the before do that, let's mirror this object on the x-axis, okay, and enable clipping. Okay, we have seen this mirror modifier in the last class, so there you go. And now I can use the solidify modifier. So you'll notice the solidify modifier added a thickness, so a thickness of 1 centimeter, so you can increase that from here. Okay, let's stick to that, and let's select this edge loop, alt and right click, and extrude. Okay, alt E and extrude the edge, and constrain this in the y-axis by pressing Y. Okay, so there you go. We have something like this. Okay, now I want to give this a rounded form, okay, at the corners. So let's add a subdivision surface modifier. Okay, um, okay, now you'll notice okay, it's not proper because we need to add a few more loops. Okay, so let's add a loop, control R, one loop here, and control R, another loop over here. Similarly, let's add a loop over here like this, and also at the bottom. Okay, so this is what we have. Yeah, let's increase the number of levels to 2. Okay, so that's not bad. Okay, maybe we can select these two vertices and E to extrude, and X to constrain in the x-axis. Okay, um, again we may need to add a loop over here, control R, and like this, control R, and like this. Okay, and control R over here to add one more loop. Okay, all right, and control R to add one more loop over here. Okay, that's all right. Now let's create some structure, okay, using this particular form. Okay, to do that, let's use the array modifier. Okay, so let's add a array modifier. Okay, you'll notice the array modifier by default offsets in the x-axis by one dimension. Okay, now this value over here, right, is basically, okay, let's check out the dimension of this object. Okay, let's remove this array. Okay, we have this object, the x dimension is 2 meters. Okay, so from here to here it's 2 meters. Now when I add this array modifier, okay, it's basically adding it's basically making two copies, and they are separated by this particular dimension. Okay, so that's 2 units, right? If you make this 1.2, okay, you have this gap. Okay, so yeah, now I want to use this offset in the vertical direction, so I'll make it 1 in the vertical direction. Okay, so now 3 vertical direction. Now I want these things to seamlessly, merge, okay, seamlessly combine. So let's see how we can achieve that. Okay, so this is not helping. Okay, so to do that, let's go into the edit mode, select all the top loops. Okay, then shift E and press 1. Oh, that's not helping. A shift E is basically a subdivision crease. Okay, to remove a crease, right, shift E and -1. Okay, okay, I think I know what happened. So shift E 1, and similarly for the bottom edge loop, shift E 1. Okay, so you'll notice now this side has been merged. Similarly, let's select this particular edge over here. Okay, okay, and shift E and 1. We need to select the whole thing. Shift E 1. One second. Okay, let's add one more loop. Okay, let's add one more loop and select this edge and this edge. Okay, and shift E 1. Okay, still some roundedness, so let's select these guys. Okay, yeah, now we have this sort of okay, here you'll notice there's a little more gap. Okay, to fix that we need to select this edge, shift E 1. Okay, um, all right, so let's make it count of 4. Okay, so now that's the array modifier. Okay, now we can add a simple deform modifier. So this simple deform modifier has different modes. Okay, a twist mode. So in the twist mode, as you can see, it twists the geometry. Yeah, and if you switch it to the bend mode, okay, it bends the geometry. Okay, like this. Okay, so there you go. Okay, that's the bend modifier, the bend mode, and then taper mode. Okay, again taper mode basically tapers it. Okay, and then we have the stretch. Okay, stretch mode basically, okay, stretches it. Okay, so let's use the twist mode. Okay, and then twist it a bit. Okay, cool. So and then you can use another array modifier. Okay, add now add these copies in the x direction. Yep, and you can also repeat it in the y direction. Okay, so 0 and 1. Okay, repeat it in the y direction. Maybe increase the offset. All right, and then switch to the camera mode. Okay, view camera. In case you don't see this over here, you go to user preferences, add-ons, and 3D view and view 3D navigation. Okay, enable this. Okay, and view camera and shift F to go into the fly mode and scroll the mouse key backwards to frame the camera. Okay, cool. And now if you render, right, okay, you'll see a black image. It's gonna take some time because we have lots of geometry over here. It's better to save the file and then render. Okay, because if it crashes you may lose the data. So let's save the file, save as session 9 record 2. Okay, now let's hold on the shift key and click on this layer. So now layer 1 and layer 20 are active. So your lamp is over here. Select the lamp and move it up. Okay, let's go to the top view and move the lamp somewhere over here and switch back to the camera. Save the file and render. Okay, almost done. There you go. Okay, we'll come back to this scene. Okay, when we learn a little bit about lighting later on. Okay, so that's it about this particular part. Okay, we've learned about face normals, right, and also how face normals affect certain tools, and then we've learned about some more mesh modeling workflow tips, and then use these modifiers, right, We have the mirror modifier, the solidify modifier, subsurface, array, deform, and then more array. Okay, you can actually toggle everything off. Okay, so we started with this. Okay, and then we mirrored it, and then added some solid surface to this, and then enabled this curved surface. Okay, and then we have added a few copies and then deformed it using the twist mode, and then copied it in the x-axis and copied it in the y-axis. Okay, yeah, one more thing. Now you have these right now, these are not copies, they are just okay, instantiated. Now if you want um, the mesh for this whole geometry, right? Okay, you can basically, okay, let's try this. Press the space key. Okay, press the space key and type apply modifier. Okay, let's see what this does. Okay, this is not working. So you basically have to go to each of these modifiers and apply the geometry, apply the modifier. Okay, so there you go. So once you apply it, vanishes from the modifier stack. Okay, okay, now if I select this and go into the edit mode, you'll notice the whole geometry. Okay, there's lots of geometry. Okay, I'm not going to save this file. Okay, in case you want to apply the modifier, this is how you do it. Okay, uh, let me reopen this file. Okay, sometimes you may still want to keep this uh, original modifier stack intact. Okay, but want to see how it looks after you apply everything, right? So to do that, you can just select this object. Okay, and then create a duplicate. Okay, so once you create a duplicate, okay, let's press escape. Okay, now the duplicate and the original are on the same location, are at the same location. So let's move it to another layer. Move to layer number 2, and switch to layer number 2. Okay, now in this layer apply all the modifiers. Okay, so there you go. Okay, so now you have this mesh over here, and then the original on layer number 1. Right, cool. So again, I'm not going to save this. So that's it for this lesson. Okay, in the next lesson we will take a look at modeling using curves. Okay, yep, see you in part 2.